Okay, awesome. She's ready to go. All right. All right. Okay, so you may be wondering, okay, why is the title of this camp called One Health? So One Health is the concept that there is a connection between people, animals, and their shared environments. And the goal of One Health is to achieve optimal health outcomes for all involved. So all living things are dependent on one another to survive and thrive. And it requires a transdisciplinary cooperation from a local level all the way to the global level to be truly successful. So for example, you have a local dairy farmer who's producing milk, right? And so their milk contribution at a local level is contributing to the overall milk industry for the whole entire world, right? So it's pretty crazy how just one cow can contribute so much to the world. And everyone has to be working together to make this happen. So why is One Health important? I'm gonna minimize y'all for a second so I can see my screen. All right. So as the human population expands, our impact on the world around us and the animals around us increases as well. And this can cause issues in terms of the spread of disease because there is so much more interaction between humans and animals that we start getting these diseases called zoonosis. So that's when a disease is transmitted between humans and animals. And vice versa too. So just a couple zoonotic diseases that we want to throw out there just so you start getting used to them. You probably know one of them, the West Nile virus. So it's transmitted by mosquitoes who have bitten infected birds. This is why you really have to wear bug spray, right? So that mosquitoes don't bite you in the summer, especially. And also rabies. You may have heard of this one. It's transmitted by the saliva of an infected animal. So we have many components to the concept of One Health. And as we mentioned, One Health requires people from all different fields of science to work together to solve many different problems. And this includes veterinary medicine, right? Because going back to our dairy example, you have to have the veterinarian come out and look at those cows to make sure they're healthy and they can produce good quality milk to contribute to the milk industry. And so to capitalize on the time we have together, we'll be examining one small component of the much larger idea of One Health. And so for y'all, this will be ecology as it pertains to veterinary medicine. So you may be thinking, okay, we talked about One Health, and now what in the world is ecology? So do y'all have any idea what ecology is? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Just a random guess. Trying to find my chat here. There we go. Oh, is that a line? Yes, it was. Study of ecosystems. Great guess. Ecosystem. Okay, great. Any other guesses? We're on the right track. All right, so I'm going to stop there. Oh, got one more. Study of animal and human body, maybe, or just medicine. That's a good guess. All right, so lots of good guesses there, guys. Good job. So we're going to go ahead and move on. So let's see. All right. So we're going to leave you guessing for just a second. And we're going to go ahead and give y'all the game plan for how we're going to have camp today. So today you'll begin by taking a pretest just to kind of see what knowledge you already know about ecology. And then following this short quiz, it's only 10 minutes. 10 questions. I'm sorry. We're going to give you 10 minutes. We'll talk a little bit about deer. I promise it will make sense in just a bit. Then we'll dive into our One Health module. And once y'all have completed the first section of the module, we'll spend the rest of our time showing y'all how ecology relates to deer and veterinary medicine. All right, so this is the part where we're going to do the pretest. Take about 10 minutes to go through the pretest on your One Health ecology module. And once you're finished, give us another thumbs up emoji. And I'll go ahead and get out of this and show you how to get to that pretest. Here we go. Okay. So once you log in, your dashboard should look like this. So we're just going to scroll down to ecology. All right, there's ecology. And then you're going to click on Enter Ecology Module Pretest. So do that. And then you click Enter. All right, and then it should look like this. You got your 10 questions right there. And then you'll hit Continue, and then you'll start the pretest. So we'll meet back up at 9:30, let's say. So, all right, good luck with the pretest. So it looks like we're just waiting on one more thumbs up and then we will proceed. All right, we got our other thumbs up, so we will continue. So how'd you do on the pretest? Thumbs up, thumbs down, was okay. Let me know in the chat. Thumbs up, okay. Okay, not too bad. Same, okay. Okay, awesome. So y'all did pretty good. That's great. Reminded me of my science a lot. Yeah. Yeah. It reminded me of my science a lot too when I was reviewing it as well. So. All right. Well, good job, guys. So you'll take that test again at the end of our camp just to kind of see what you learned throughout the camp. It was a lot. Yeah. And then, oh, I was lost. Were you able to finish it though, Caro? Not yet. Okay. How many more questions do you have to do, Caro? On the last question. Okay. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready, okay?
Kristen, what's your favorite animal? We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, we wait.
Okay. My favorite animal. Okay, so I really like these things called tamanduas. So they're like a little anteater. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They're really cute though. Let me see if I have a picture. I can show you a picture.
Reminds me, at the San Antonio Zoo, there's an animal called a Turk's tick tick, and that's the name of it. And it's this teeny tiny little antelope, and it's super cute.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know if y'all can see it. There we go. It's like a little anteater.
Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah. But they have like these claws on the ends of their feet, and like they love to just dig them into your back or in your hair. It kind of hurts, but they're really cool. I like them. Yay, you finished. Okay, awesome. Glad you finished. All right. The mighty wizard shall speak of the great animals of the world. I love that. That's a great comment.
I aim to please.
Alrighty. So I'm glad y'all finished the pretest. And now we're going to move on. Maybe. If I can get my screen to work here. Okie dokie. All right. So remember I told you guys about deer before the pretest. So how do ecology and deer go together? What's going on here? So I'll give y'all a little spoiler. I know you were asking, how does that work together? So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what ecology is. Y'all had great guesses before we did the pretest. So ecology is a branch of biology that studies the relationships and interactions between organisms and their environment. And so we're going to observe the way white-tailed deer interact with their environment to understand components of ecology. And we'll also demonstrate how the white-tailed deer and their relationship with the environment impacts veterinary medicine. Okay, so here's a question for y'all. What type of veterinarian works with deer? Put your guesses in the chat. That's a great guess. So is it a small animal veterinarian? Is it a large animal veterinarian? Is it a wildlife veterinarian? I like the cool kind. That's a great guess, Margaret. Yeah. Large, that's a good guess. Deer veterinarian. I like that. Very specific. Wildlife vet. You got it, Maria Isabella. You got it. It's a wildlife veterinarian. Great job. Evie. Okay, there we go. Wildlife veterinarian. Yes, got it. All right, so these are specialized veterinarians capable of working with wild animals, such as deer. And the goal of these wildlife veterinarians involves the care and conservation of wild species. And then just some animals that wildlife vets may take care of include, so mammals, like deer, raccoons, foxes, exotic species, anything like that. And also reptiles, like snakes, tortoises, lizards, pretty much anything that's not a dog, cat, goat, horse, things like that. So all the exotic things. And then birds or raptors, such as cardinals, hawks, eagles, any type of bird.
Does anyone here have an exotic pet? Or something that would be considered a wildlife veterinarian?
So I have a corn snake, and then I have 4 different types of lizards, and then I have some fish. So all of those things would probably go to a wildlife vet or a small animal veterinarian that specializes in exotic pets and things like that. I love those faces. They're just like jaw-dropping. I love it. I love the energy. Yeah, I have a corn snake. Her name is Ember. She's orange. I'll have to show you
Pretty.
a picture during our break later, okay? Or actually, I can probably get her out and show her to you. So get excited about Ember. We're going to have fun, guys. It's our first day of camp. We got to kick it off right. All right, so now that y'all know our game plan, we are going to take a look at our first section of our ecology module. So we're going to take about 15 minutes to work through the first section entitled Ecosystem Organization. So we got something in the chat here. Mighty Wizard's Powerful Snake. I love it. Love it. All right, so after you go through the first section, we'll have some questions for y'all afterwards. This is where Kahoot comes in, so just stay tuned.
There's more sections beyond this one in the module, but you'll want to stop at the end of this one because we're going to work through each of them at a specific time. So it's as fun as you might be having while you do it. Just hold on to it and wait till we tell you to do each module by name, okay?
And then just a little incentive for you guys. The top 3 individuals to answer the most questions at the end of the presentations will get a prize. And then those of you who stick with us through the entire series of presentations will also receive a prize. So you might get lucky and get a prize. I'll go ahead and show y'all where the first module is. All right, so we had our pretest here. Ecology. Let's see. Is it going to let me? Yes. Okay, so I will go back real quick. All right, so you should be able to enter the Ecology learning module now. You can do it in English or Spanish, either one. So we are going to enter again. Okay, so you should see this screen, and then you're going to go to this first one here, Ecosystem Organization. Click on that, and then scroll down. So this page is actually really cool. It's going to tell you like what you do within the sections. So we're going to describe and differentiate between abiotic and biotic factors in the ecosystem, and then describe the levels of organization in an ecosystem. And then it gives you kind of a table of contents, so how the module is laid out. And then scroll down, and then you have continue. You'll start this section, maybe. Yeah, we're going to start here. All right, so that should be your first screen. And then, let's see. Oh, just a little side note. If you guys like to take notes when you're going through something, you can click on the menu and then go up to clipboard. And we have 3 different types of note templates that you can click on, and they are fillable PDFs. So if you download it, actually, yeah, you have to download it, and then you'll be able to fill in your answers right on the PDF, so you don't have to print it out, which is really good. And then you can just have it open while we're going through the rest of the presentation if you want, just to help you. So yeah, so you can just start typing in it. Biology. And just go through and answers in. It also has different vocabulary words that you can fill in the definitions for, just in case you want to like look back at what we learned or anything like that. It's not required, but you can use it if you want to. There's also a spot for pictures. You want to put something down there. So yeah, just a little fun tool we got there for you guys. All right, so that's going to take us 15 minutes. We will meet back up at 10 a.m. Just give us a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, I just saw your question, Maria Isabel. Let me go back, maybe. No, I need to exit full screen. Okay. All right, so, okay. So we're on ecology. So this is where you did your pretest. And then underneath, it should say enter the ecology learning module, either in English or in Spanish. So I'm going to click on the English one. Let's see. There we go. And then enter. Okay. And then once you get to this screen, it'll be this first one here called Essential Knowledge Ecosystem Organization. Click on that. And then scroll down. Actually, you don't have to scroll down. You can just hit continue right here at the bottom. And then, oh, I've already done this, so it's it's going to my last slide I was on. So I'm gonna go back to dashboard. Okay, so yours should take you to this screen, which just tells you how to navigate the module. And then you'll just hit continue to go through the different slides. So let me know if you're still having problems, okay? All right, I see we got one thumbs up so far, so I'll give you guys a little bit longer, and then we'll have a special guest. All right. How's everybody doing? I just want to check in with y'all and let me know how many more questions you have in the chat, okay? Sorry, didn't realize I was on mute. Here's our visitor. Her name is Amber. She's a sun-kissed corn snake.
Wow.
So she's about 3 years old. She'll get a little bit bigger than this. So just while we're waiting, we'll see her for a little bit. Awesome. I think we're waiting on 2 more thumbs up. Awesome. Got another thumbs up. Let's see, just one more. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put Ember up before we move on. So everybody say bye, Ember. She really enjoyed getting to see you guys today.
Bye, Ember.
All right, speak you back. All right, just all right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. If you haven't finished that yet, you can go back through it at the end of our time today and finish it up. It's no big deal if you haven't done it yet. I just want to go ahead and get through all the content that we have for today and get y'all your participation points for doing the Kahoot and things like that. Alrighty. So we're gonna go and do the Kahoot at the end of today just to make sure we have enough time. So I'll bring these instructions back up at the end. Okie dokie. All right, let me move this. Okay. All right, so let's just apply what y'all learned in the module. So we're going to discuss how biotic and abiotic factors can affect white-tailed deer. But more specifically, we're going to focus on how we as veterinarians can help deer affected by biotic and abiotic factors. Notice how throughout the rest of the presentation, we will also be incorporating different terms that you learned within the module. So our first term is organism/individual. So this is a single living thing. For example, with our deer example, we have one deer. So that's the organism or individual. And then we have our population. So the population is all individuals of a given species that live in the same area at the same time. So many different deer in a group, right? And then we have our community. And the community is all the populations of different species in a given area that interact in some way. So if we have our deer population, and then we have, let's say, a rabbit population as well in the same area, that would be considered our community. And then these terms will also be highlighted in red throughout the presentation just to help y'all kind of catch them and see where we use them. All right, so what biotic and abiotic factors can affect deer? So our biotic, we have food availability, such as plants. And then we have our deer population, so the many different deer in a group. The predators in the community, for example, if there's, say, a coyote and he's trying to eat the deer, that would be an example of a predator in the community. We have invasive species. And lastly, we have some infectious agents. Not all infectious agents are biotic. Only bacteria, protozoa, and parasites are considered biotic. And then our abiotic, we have our climate, water availability, shelter, habitat destruction. And then here's where I was saying not all infectious agents are considered biotic. So our viruses and prions, we'll get to prions here in just a second. Those two are abiotic factors. All right, so here's a little test here. So do y'all think this is a biotic or abiotic factor? Put your guess in the chat. Biotic, okay. Biotic, yeah, great job, guys. Whoops. Where'd it go? There we go. All right, so this is actually a parasite egg. So remember, parasites are considered biotic factors. So great job. And then our second question, sorry, I'm having difficulties here. Would you consider this an individual organism or a population? Okay, great guess. All right, great guesses, guys. So it's actually a tricky question. Sorry, just a second. Sorry, give me just a second, guys.
Fun fact, we most commonly see lungworms in donkeys as veterinarians. You're welcome. I live to fill spaces with facts. Let's see. The lungworms actually live in the donkeys without causing a problem. The donkeys just, it's kind of like a commensalistic relationship between them. They just hang out together, the worms in their lungs. But if donkeys and horses are kept in the same pasture, then the lungworms can get into the horse, and the horse will actually have a cough like we do when we're sick and our lungs don't feel well. So if a horse comes to a vet and says, and the owner says, my horse has a cough and I don't know why, we say, do you have donkeys on your property? And maybe sometimes this is why.
All right, sorry about that. My internet decided it was going to be funky for a little bit. All right, so this is actually considered an individual organism. And this is an egg of a large lungworm. All right, so biotic factors affecting white-tailed deer. We're going to talk about large lungworms. So a single organism, such as an internal parasite, may not cause a great issue within a deer. So that's just one. But when you have a population, so many different lungworms together, they can be damaging to the deer. Okay. And then one example of such a parasite that can quickly go from a single organism to a big population within a deer is the large lungworm. And that's why we're talking about it today. So just fun fact, you don't have to know this, but the true name for this parasite is Dictyocolus viviparus. It's a mouthful. So we're just gonna stick with large lungworm, okay? Let's see, let's look at our chat real quick. All right, is that a lung and worms? Yes, it is. Okay, let's see if I can get this video to work.
Okay. Now hopefully we can see. So that's an actual worm that is living in the deer or donkey's lungs, causing, as you can imagine, them to not feel well. That's what it looks like before it hatches, when it's still inside the egg. Ew. You guys have any questions about that? It's kind of self-explanatory, right? It's just gross. Yeah. Oh, Kristen's back. Hey.
I don't know what happened. Sorry about that, guys. It's really not the first day of camp unless you have some sort of technical issue.
Yeah, but it's okay. We still got to watch it. So I guess you can just pick up on your next slide if you want.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's try this again, guys. All right, can y'all see that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. All right, there we go. All right, so y'all got to see how those worms move around and stuff. Cool things. All right, so biotic factors affecting white-tailed deer specifically are large lungworms. So y'all may have guessed this. Lung is in the name of lungworm. And so these lungworms like to live in the trachea and also the lungs of deer. Yeah, right. So when there's only one or a couple lungworms present, deer typically don't show any signs that they have lungworms inside them. So this means we can't see any signs of sickness. But when there is a big population within the deer, it can be very harmful. So some clinical signs that we see in deer heavily infected with lungworms include bronchopneumonia, which is difficulty breathing, malnourishment, so they're underweight, they're very thin, and then weakness and death. So it's a pretty serious worm inside these deer. So there is a huge concern of community spread of lungworms. Many other ruminants are capable of being infected with these lungworms, including mule deer, elk, moose, cattle, sheep, and goats. And the way that these eggs are passed on to other ruminants is that they are actually shed in feces within the environment. And so if another ruminant accidentally ingests some of these droppings, then they'll get the lungworms that the deer had as well. And then because of this, we as veterinarians have to be aware of this parasite. So it's not just in white-tailed deer, right? So we can pass it on to animals such as our livestock, so cattle, goats, sheep, things like that. All right, so here's a question for you guys. Is this a biotic or abiotic factor? Put your guess in the chat. Abiotic, okay, biotic. So we're split at the moment. Which one is biotic? Okay. Any more guesses? No? Okay, so this one's kind of tricky. This is actually the prion that I was talking about. So it is considered abiotic. So abiotic are viruses and prions. Would you consider this an individual organism or a population? Put your guess in the chat. Population, individual. All right, so we're split again. Okay, this one's kind of tricky. So this was a trick question. So because prions are not considered living, they wouldn't fall into the category of an organism or population. So good job for answering those questions, guys. So what in the world is a prion? We keep talking about this word prion. I didn't know what it was for the longest time. And then I started hearing about chronic wasting disease in deer, which is what we're about to talk about. So prions are infectious proteins. This may seem kind of weird, right? Because you're like, okay, so protein is in my meat and it makes me full, right? So how can they be infectious? So prions actually cause neurologic disease in many different species. So you ingest the prion and then it travels all the way up to your brain. So that's kind of weird, right? So neurologic means it affects the brain. So in cattle, the common name for this disease caused by prions is mad cow disease. You may have heard of that. But in deer, this disease process is called chronic wasting disease, or CWD. So we can think of CWD as the mad cow disease of white-tailed deer, kind of. So here are the clinical signs of chronic wasting disease. So emaciation, severely underweight, because they're not getting enough nutrients, so they're very thin. Excessive salivation, so they're drooling a lot. Loss of fear of human beings. This is also kind of seen in a form of rabies, where they're just not very afraid of humans, and they also have a loss of coordination, so they're stumbling around everywhere. They're not real sure exactly where they're going. They're walking in repetitive patterns, excessively drinking and urinating because they are drinking so much water. Hind limb weakness, so they may just kind of drag one of their legs behind them. Or, unfortunately, death is inevitable because it doesn't affect the brain. All right, so this is what we call histology. So it's the study of cells. So if you were to take a piece of tissue from that brain, you would see this underneath the microscope. So on your left side of the screen, we have normal. So you can see there's not really many holes in it. It's pretty uniform throughout. But then you look at the CWD histologic sample, you have all these little white holes here. So you can tell there's a pretty big difference between normal and CWD. So it's called evacuation of neurons. So holes are literally forming in the brain. And that's why it causes neurologic issues, because we don't have, a whole brain, right? We have holes in our brain. All right, so now we're going to talk about how they get it. So prions are capable of remaining in the environment for years. So they're super hard to get rid of. And that's why preventing chronic wasting disease is very difficult, because that prion sticks around for so long. And so, again, white-tailed deer pick up prions from the environment. And this can occur in a couple different ways. So the first way is direct contact with an infected individual, and then indirectly contacting the excretions, so like feces, or like respiratory secretions, or like mucus and stuff. or contacting the carcass, so the dead animal, of an infected individual or organism. So let's expand on this just a little bit. So there is a concern for both population spread and community spread of chronic wasting disease. Just like we said, white-tailed deer, they pick it up from the environment, either by direct contact with an infected individual or indirectly by excretions of an infected individual. So the big takeaway from all of this, so an infected white-tailed deer can infect another white-tailed deer. So this is the population spread, right? Because it's the same species interacting with another of the same species. So deer to deer. And then if you have an infected white-tailed deer, and they infect another type of cervid, so our deer species, here we go. Cervids are other members of the deer family, including elk, moose, reindeer, and many other species. So when a white-tailed deer infects another species, this is community spread, right? Because we have a population infecting another population. So not the same type of animal. All right. And then as far as affecting humans, thankfully, chronic wasting disease cannot infect people yet. However, hunters in the area where chronic wasting disease is common are urged to have their deer meat tested before eating, just so there's no risk of transmission there. Thankfully, chronic wasting disease is not prevalent in Texas as of right now, but more cases have been reported here, so it is trending upward just a little bit. And the spread of chronic wasting disease remains a major concern for wildlife veterinarians. Okay. All right. So we have about 15 minutes to do our Kahoot. I know you guys are excited about that. Get your points for those prizes at the end. So we'll go ahead and do that. I will go back, find the Kahoot instructions. So I hope that was kind of interesting for you guys, just to learn a little bit about chronic wasting disease, what prions are, and just some veterinary things that we talk about a lot.